I'm a TV and screenwriter. I'm also a film professor, and I have known from the jump that Blake Lively was the problem in the It Ends With Us saga, and I want to tell you why. I need to give you a little bit of film context. One thing you need to understand is that the TV industry and the film industry are actually completely different. Not only are they different media, but they're different industry streams, essentially. So the fact that Justin Baldoni had worked a lot in television, had been on a long-running show in television, does not mean that he is well known as a film person or film director. I believe that It Ends With Us was maybe his second, maybe third feature that he had ever directed. So most of his notoriety was as an actor on the TV side. So that is a completely different thing. The other thing that I think it's important to note is that IP, which is intellectual property, is absolutely ruling Hollywood right now. So the only movies and TV shows that anyone wants to make are either based on IP, intellectual property, which means books, video games, articles, or they want to do remakes and reboots of things that have already been made. And the reason for that is because Hollywood is extremely risk averse. They hate losing money. And so the best way they think, and I don't agree with this, but this is the way that the industry has been functioning for a while, is that the best way to guarantee an audience is to adapt a project that already has an audience. And so that's why it was such a huge get for Justin Baldoni to get the rights to adapt It Ends With Us into a feature in the first place. Now let's talk about how you get a film made. Essentially, in order to get a feature financed, you have to approach financiers with a list of actors you are interested in going after for the lead roles. These are called attachments. Essentially, you want to attach the highest value talent that you can to your project so that then you can get more funding for the project. Justin Baldoni probably could have gone to financiers and asked for a way smaller budget if he had gone for a smaller actress, but he wanted the biggest budget he could get, which is something that every director wants. And the most money that he would be able to get in financing for the film probably came with an attachment from Blake Lively, who is a huge name. This is where the power dynamic piece starts to come into play. Without Blake Lively, the film would lose its financing. That would be catastrophic. The film would be shelved forever. It would never go. And then Justin Baldoni would have his big directing break essentially ripped out from under him. Part of Justin's game as the director is also a political one. It's not just artistic. He has to keep Blake Lively happy so that she doesn't walk off the set and ruin his chances at making this major motion picture. Okay, so I think that's all the background you need to understand now why I knew from the beginning that Blake Lively was the problem. There are two reasons. The first is that Blake Lively was not a fan of Colleen Hoover's book. She didn't even read Colleen Hoover's book. So it's not as if she signed on to the project because she's a huge fan of the IP. I completely understand why Justin Baldoni attached Blake Lively to It Ends With Us, because that was the best way to get the maximum amount of financing for his film. What I couldn't understand, and this is what led me to my theory, is why Blake Lively would attach to this project. It's not like she signed on to work with Justin because he's such a well-known director. He's unknown. So why would an auspice as big as Blake Lively sign on to do a project with such a little-known director? She is married to a billionaire, so she doesn't need the money. She is friends with the likes of Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, so if she wanted to work with serious directors, in theory she could. So why did Blake Lively sign on to It Ends With Us, if not because she was a fan of the material? It's because she knew that she was going to try to strong arm this director into letting her take control. She said, oh yeah, this will be great. I'll just steamroll him. She has the social capital. She has the power. She also has the connections. She wanted to commandeer the ship from Justin, and she thought that it would be way easier. And the reason she ended up doing this whole smear campaign and trying to take him down is because it didn't work. He didn't bend the knee, if you would. She thinks she's the Queen of Dragons. Blake Lively, I'm sure, was showing up to set confused as to why Justin Baldoni was actually trying to direct her. I'm sure that in her mind there was some sort of understanding that I run this set. And I'm sure she was offended when she showed up and saw that Justin Baldoni actually had storyboards and his shot list ready to go. She thought that she was going to be able to control the entire production. And then when Justin didn't bend the knee to her, she had to take him down.